All right, let's talk about it. We've all seen the headlines, right? Layoffs, hiring freezes, market craziness. If you're working in tech, you're probably feeling it, wondering, what do I do now? Well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're opening up the strategic playbook for defending your career in a downturn. So let's just ask the big question right out of the gate, the one that's probably been nagging you in the back of your mind. Is the tech dream over? The short answer, a big, resounding no. But, and this is a huge but, the rules of the game are absolutely changing. That whole growth at all costs era, yeah, that's kind of taking a backseat. And that means we need to adapt with it. This isn't about panicking. It's about being smart and prepared. So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through a 5-part playbook. First, we'll get the lay of the land, the shifting tech landscape. Then, we'll get practical and build your financial fortress. After that, it's all about sharpening your competitive edge, activating your network, and finally, shifting your mindset to actually thrive through uncertainty. First up, the shifting tech landscape. Let's get real about why even the mighty tech industry isn't bulletproof when the economy gets shaky. So what does a downturn actually feel like for those of us on the inside? Well, it looks a lot like this. You see the layoffs and hiring freezes from the big names, which naturally means a lot more talented people are suddenly looking for jobs. That creates way more competition. Internally, companies start pumping the brakes on those cool, ambitious moonshot projects and pivot hard to saving cash. And behind the scenes, the venture capital, the fuel for so much of tech's growth, starts to get a lot tighter. It's chain reaction. Okay, so that's the reality of the situation. A little scary, right? So where do we even start? Well, you start right here, by building your financial fortress. This is your first, your best, your most important line of defense. And the cornerstone of that fortress, the absolute non-negotiable, an emergency fund. The magic number you're shooting for is right here. Enough cash to cover 6 to 12 months of your essential living expenses. Seriously, this isn't just a safety net, it's freedom. It's the power to say no to a bad offer, to take your time finding the right next move instead of desperately grabbing the first one. Now, I know that number can feel massive, but you don't climb a mountain in one step, right? You break it down. Step 1, get brutally honest with your numbers. Calculate your essential monthly expenses: rent, food, utilities, the absolute must-haves. Step 2, put it on autopilot. Set up an automatic transfer to a separate savings account for the day your paycheck hits. Don't even let yourself see the money. And step 3, get ruthless, just for a little while, about cutting the non-essentials. And if you're wondering where is this extra money supposed to come from, well, this chart basically points a giant flashing arrow at the usual suspects. Subscriptions are a huge one. We all have them. We all forget them. Do a full audit. Dining out is another big money drain. And of course, all that discretionary shopping. Just hitting pause on these can supercharge your savings. Okay, once that emergency fund is chugging along, you can start making some real power moves. Think about diversifying your income. A little freelancing on the side doesn't just bring in cash, it builds new skills. Next, attack high-interest debt like it's your mortal enemy. Anything over 7% is just a leak in your financial fortress. And here's a pro tip not enough people do. Go read your current company's severance policy now while you're employed, so you know exactly what to expect if something happens. All right, our financial house is getting in order. Now let's shift from pure defense to offense. It's time to sharpen your competitive edge. This is all about making sure you're not just another resume in the pile. In a crowded market, you need to be the signal, not the noise. And this table, this is your cheat sheet for becoming absolutely essential. AI and machine learning, I mean, come on, this is the future and it's happening now. Cloud computing skills on AWS, Azure, or GCP are basically the foundation of modern tech. And cybersecurity, it's always, always critical, which makes it incredibly recession-proof. You don't have to learn all of them. Pick one and go deep. But how do you prove you have these skills? A certificate is nice, but a portfolio is your ultimate proof of work. And let's be clear what that means. A portfolio is not just a link on your resume. It's a living collection of projects that scream to an employer, I don't just know things, I can build things and solve your problems. It's the difference between saying I know how to code and showing them the app you actually built. And hey, a quick but super important reminder. Don't get so deep in the technical weeds that you forget about your soft skills. When every candidate has the same tech skills, your ability to adapt, communicate clearly, and think creatively about problems becomes the only thing sometimes that sets you apart. Okay, next pillar. Let's talk about activating your network.
And I want you to stop thinking of it as networking and start thinking of it as your professional safety net, something you weave and strengthen before the storm hits.
Now, not all networking is created equal. There's a massive, massive difference between being passive and being active. Passive is what most people do, scrolling LinkedIn, liking a few posts, hoarding contacts like their trading cards. It's useless. Active networking is about creating genuine human connections. It's reaching out for coffee chats, doing informational interviews just to learn, actually adding value to discussions, and, this is the secret sauce, offering to help other people with zero expectation of getting something back.
So you're probably thinking, okay, I get it, be active, but how? Here are a few things you can do, like today. Start with your warm network. Former colleagues and alumni are gold. Find a virtual or local meetup in your field and just show up. Be brave and ask someone you admire for a 15-minute informational interview. And for goodness sake, make sure your LinkedIn profile is packed with the right keywords so people can actually find you.
All right, we've covered money, skills, and people. For this final section, we're going to pull it all together and talk about mindset. This is how we move from a defensive crouch to an offensive stance, how we go from just surviving to actually thriving.
So let's just recap the entire playbook. Your whole strategy, your defense against all this uncertainty, it really comes down to these 4 pillars. Financial stability buys you time and peace of mind. In-demand skills make you valuable. A strong, active network creates opportunities out of thin air. And holding it all together is mental resilience, your ability to handle the stress, to see a layoff not as a failure, but as a plot twist.
And that leads us to maybe the most powerful idea in this whole explainer. It is so easy to see a downturn as just a threat. But what if it's also an opportunity? This quote says it all. A recession may test your resilience, but it also presents an opportunity to grow, adapt, and innovate. It's a forced moment of clarity, a chance to get stronger, smarter, and perfectly positioned for the next big wave. So now it's about action. Don't just close this and go back to scrolling. Look at everything we've talked about and decide, what's your first play? Are you going to open a spreadsheet right now and calculate your emergency fund number? Are you going to finally sign up for that cloud certification course? Or are you going to draft a message to an old colleague and ask for a virtual coffee? Pick one thing, just one, and go do it today.